Hey everybody, nice to see you. Welcome to the Wadsworth Ridge Farm. I am Dave, and this is the first video that I'll be putting up. I live on a 1-acre residential plot surrounded by small agriculture. It's all clay. It's all hard pan clay. Pretty much everywhere. This whole area was known for field tiles. The clay being the best for making clay field tiles. So that gives you an idea of the clay content of the soil. It's all clay. Anything that was not clay got scraped away when they made this subdivision, probably sold back in some small amount for a large sum, and people planted grass, had large equipment moving in and out, building houses, compaction, and lots of chemicals sprayed on the lawns. True Green, most of the neighbors have a lawn care service. I do not, but I have a pretty nice lawn. I got some stuff in the yard here, but I want to talk about what's not lawn. The lawn's great. We'll talk about that at another time. I don't use any pesticides or herbicides or any synthetic chemicals on the lawn, nor the orchard or the gardens. There's a garden over there, there's a garden over there, around the other side of the house. But today I want to talk about compost, because compost is absolutely 100% essential for me to be able to grow what I am growing here and what I plan to be growing in the future. I need compost, and I need a lot of it. Behind me here, let's see, that is about 8 yards of decayed horse bedding and manure. I flipped this pile earlier today. I don't know if it's still smoking. Yeah, it's still steaming a little bit over on this side. Horse manure is great, especially if you have somebody around you that may have a organic methods equine center, places where they're not using a lot of the antibiotics, deworming agents, and stuff like that. I asked before I got my first load, and the guy said, hey, listen, we do deworm very rarely, and the only time that we are worming is when there's a problem. So the odds of there being some dewormer in the bedding or in the manure, is it there? Yeah. Oh yeah, there's going to be some. Is there going to be as much as most places that are using these chemicals all the time? They're expensive, so they're not trying to use them all the time, but this place does not use chemicals unless it is absolutely 100% required. It's a great place, and they bring me free poop. People always want free shit. If you ask nicely, shit is free. So keep that in mind. This pile, okay, right now on this side, we're looking at about 150 degrees there. This is the side of the pile that I was flipping from. I had this delivered, probably 3 weeks ago. Delivered to the front, got it in the utility cart, brought it back here, piled it up. Got about 8 yards in this pile. Buddy of mine came, helped, gave him a pitchfork and a couple of beers, and we had a time. He got a workout. This side of the pile that I'm flipping to, it's already went up a little bit. It was 110 when I plunged her in, but it's just peaking right about 111 right now. And it'll probably stay rising. It'll probably get back up to 150 on this side. And as soon as it gets 155, I flip it or water it or do if cold water. Don't put hot water on there. I'll water it and then flip it. But yeah, get some more air moving in there, cool it down, even just momentarily, to allow some of those microbes to die back, lose a little bit of temperature for a little bit, and then the microbes will come right back up after that, provided you have enough material in your pile and the right kinds of material. The nice thing about horse bedding, at least this horse bedding, it's very fine pine shavings. You can see them in there. Some of them are broken down, some of them are not broken down at all. So it's pine shavings, urine from the horses, from the goats, from the chickens, cows. So it's not all horse manure that I'm getting. This equine center is also a regular working farm. They have a dairy cow, they have beef cattle, they've got pigs, they've got chickens, they've got ducks, and they use the same practices on all these animals. So they're not giving them a lot of chemicals unless it is absolutely necessary. And in most cases, rather than giving an animal with trouble chemicals, it's time to eat it. So we're not dealing with all those problems. But this will probably sit here for another, maybe 2 months. I'll flip this windrow back and forth. Right now we're walking it this way. So when it's finished, the most finished side will be right back here by the tree. I can back in with the trailer, cart it up, bring it to wherever I need. In this case, I'm going to be building a new section of my orchard. So when this pile is done, it is going to be spread out probably 6 to 8 inches thick over a pretty big area. And then I'll put another 3 to 4 inches of wood chips on top of it and top dress that again with more either fresh manure, because it'll sit over the fall and most of it'll break down, or some unsifted compost. I do a lot of sifting. Trommel would be best. I'm in the process of coming up with an idea for a big enough trommel, something that could go through 8 yards of compost pretty quickly in efficiency, and won't cost a lot of money. Bicycle wheels are fine, but if you're throwing in like 60, 70 pounds of compost or unsifted material in at one time, you might have trouble with the bicycle wheel and zip ties. So we're coming up with something for that. Hopefully we get an answer in the next couple of weeks here. But yeah, compost is necessary. I've done it a bunch of different ways. I've done different mixtures, different actual starting products, different starting sizes. So like big material breaks down slow, and that's fine if you want fungally dominated compost. So all the big siftings that I'll take out of these piles as I start using it, they'll end up in their own separate pile and they'll sit there. I'm lucky enough that I have enough room here that each year I probably move between 40 and 60 yards of compost, wood chips, what have you, a mixture of the two or just one or the other. This is my second year with the decayed horse bedding and manure, and then making piles out of that. This is my 7th year with wood chips and decayed wood chips. I tried to go as close to the back to Eden method as I could figure, but then after watching a bunch of different videos with people with differing opinions, and some of them closer to my own, I realized that back to Eden garden is incredible. You just have to make it work for your area. So if you're starting with hard pan clay, don't be afraid to till maybe a couple times, add material, till it into the native soil. The native soil, it's going to get down there one way or another with the worms or whatever other microbiology that's moving throughout the soil, whatever fungi. But I've got a tractor. I can make that go a little faster. I'm not using a rototiller. I'm just using a tine cultivator like the old timers did, but it speeds that process up a lot. So for new areas like this orchard that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to put down this right over the grass. I'm going to put it down thick, and then come wintertime, I'll water it really hard, and I'll put a silage tarp over the top of it, let it do its thing all winter long. And then in the spring, I'll till it. I'll till it in. I'm not going to till very deep. Maybe I'll till in 4 to 6 inches. But that's still another couple inches on top of that that's going to be really nice and rich and soaking in every time it gets a rain. So I'm not worried about tilling. I'm not going to till all the time. That's the whole point of putting cover over things, is not having to till. But if there's an area that gets compacted, yeah, I'm not worried about going over it with the tiller once or twice. Even, over the course of a couple of years, if I have to do it a few times, no big deal. I'm not losing out because I'm adding so much organic material that over time I'll have to till less. It'll be less compact. It'll be a better soil instead of just hard pan clay or sand or whatever you may have in your area. But keep in mind that compost stuff It's a backbreaker sometimes. It's a lifesaver all the time. So thanks for watching Wadsworth Ridge Farm. We'll see you next time.